Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Our tough and streetwise and intellectual gang members this evening are Diane Zinn, backed by popular demand. She is an artist at ZINNZART at Etsy.com. Is that a good introduction, Diane?
That's it. Yeah.
Dwight Schultz, who is a famous actor. The greatest role, according to the popular poll, is when you played Murdoch on NBC's The A-Team. Am I correct?
I don't know.
And who are you imitating?
I don't know.
Some English
Just coming out of me, very naturally.
DwightSchultzFansite.nl. Go to his website, the greatest experience you'll ever have. And Nonie Darwish, a modern-day freedom fighter. She knows all about the dangers and evils of Sharia, and she's warning the Western world about it. And she is the author of the new book, The Devil We Don't Know, The Dark Side of the Revolutions in the Middle East. Was that a good introduction?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is an honor and
to be here.
Yes.
it's a privilege to be on the
Yes.
the Glazov
Sure.
game.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, let's just spend the whole time talking about this.
Show your book now, will you?
Yeah, I'll show the book later because you didn't say anything good about it the last time. Ladies and gentlemen, the second debate between Romney and Obama. And let's get to this Benghazi thing because Candy Crowley? Candy Crowley. I see, I'm Canadian. We have different
That's
accents.
all right.
Candy Crowley came out to support Obama, that he had actually said something about a terrorist attack. And Obama's supporters and the mainstream media still continue to treat this as if it was some kind of a big victory for Obama. But the truth tells us otherwise.
True.
I want to begin with this, with what happened in the debate on that point and with what the truth of the matter is somebody lying? Let us begin, I think, with allegedly the smartest person here, Diane Zinn.
Yes. Well, it's certainly a cover-up, right? And I think I said last time I was on the show that I think that Obama sympathizes with Islamic jihad. I think he doesn't see it as evil like, say, a Christian would. You know, his worldview is such that he doesn't see, he equivocates Islam with, say, the Christianity, right?
Okay, now just a second, Diane. What do you think of that exchange in the debate? Because Romney's point was legitimate, was it not? That after the attack on Benghazi, the administration did not call it a terror attack, and they spent almost 2 weeks talking about this movie.
Right.
But yet Obama thought he made a great point. Candy backed him up, and the mainstream media continues to discuss it as if this was a big step. How do you read this?
Well, and you know what? When you had your interview with Michael Corrin, you brought up the fact that even though the whole video thing is a hoax, that's not why they rioted or whatever, the president, as the president of the United States, should have said, we have freedom of speech in this country. You know, why are you acting like savages over some video that we made here? We have free speech. If you don't like it, tough. Stand up for free speech. And he should have said, you know what? If you're going to act like this and kill our people, we're going to retaliate.
But thank you, Diane. But what do you think of the position Candy took in that debate and how the media is treating that whole thing when the truth says otherwise?
Right. Well, I don't think they get into it. They don't investigate it. They just go along with the president because they want to prop him up as usual.
Okay. So the bias of the liberal media, right? Nonie, how do you read it?
When Obama came to office, the first thing he said, I'm going to teach America how to get along with the Muslim world. So he went to Cairo, he was criticized, and he thought he was going to give us a good education on how to respect the Muslim world. And suddenly he found out for himself that it has nothing to do with America, that the attacks on America is purely jihadists, because under Islamic law, we are never supposed to love us or like us or treat us as equal or even as human. Obama wants to avoid any act of terrorism during his presidency because he had an award for peace, and so he did everything he could so he doesn't have a confrontation with Islam. I think the reason there was no security on our embassy, a consulate in Benghazi, which is a terror area full of terrorists. It's closer to the Egyptian border. Muslim Brotherhood, you name it, al-qaeda, everything is there. And Obama gambled with the lives of Americans because he didn't want to put American Marines to defend them. Because if American Marines are going to see, he knew they were going to be shot. And he hired foreign people for the embassy to give security for the embassy. He did not want Marines to be there to have a confrontation with Islam, and then he has to take the side of the Marines. And if he does that, that's against Islam. That's an act against Islam. He does not want to act in any way to offend Islam. And that's why, in my opinion, he does not want Marines to defend us. That's why he insisted, and it came from him. It was not from Hillary. It was not from no one. I know what Sharia law is. If he fights Islam, he will be doing something against Islam. That is a major thing for him. And I think Obama does not want to be in a conflict with Islam.
And so
that's why he gambled with lives of Americans at the expense of America in order not to have a conflict with Islam. When the conflict happened anyway, and when they attacked the ambassador, there was nobody there on 9/11 to defend them. And the people who were there, this group, I don't know who they were. They were, I think, Libyans. They were. Of course, they ran away. And when it happened, he wanted to make it appear as not as a terror attack for a reason. Because if it's a terror attack, he has to retaliate.
But
he cannot retaliate from Islam. He does not want to retaliate from Islam.
Thank you, Nonie. This is a very, very profound, frightening things that you're telling us.
He doesn't want to violate Sharia. But he does not want to violate Sharia.
Right. But what ultimately exposes the weakness of these kind of people, if this is true, and I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, is you can't ultimately blind all the people because the facts are going to come out. Like, if he doesn't want a confrontation with Islam and he says this isn't a terror attack, we're going to find out if it was a terror attack. But yet the media and Candy, Crowley, whatever are helping.
The Egyptian government, the Egyptian government told him to express their anger about the movie a long time ago.
Okay.
And that's why they had this excuse, and nothing happens without the knowledge of the Egyptian government if it's Muslims. So this has been brewing for a long time. They found that the movie is a good excuse, and they unfortunately
we're just going to let the ladies talk this show. Diane, go ahead. No, Dwight, go ahead. What do you think of
I just wanted to say that this it's a good phrase is that this is the total collapse of the Middle East policy constructed by Barack Obama. And he has much to lose. In fact, as we've talked about on this program before, one of the chief advisors to Hillary Clinton is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. You have a very interesting situation in which, and that's why this video is very curious, you'll note you haven't heard any more about where the money came from to create this video. Wally Shubat has, at his blog, had basically said this guy is not a Christian, he's not a Coptic, he's not a Jew. First he was a Jew, then he was a Coptic Christian. He himself has said, Kusula, whatever his name is, said, I'm not either of those. What is he? Why was this video out there? It was planted back in June. Right outside the Cairo embassy, while the riots were going on outside the Cairo embassy, Ayman Zawahiri's brother, Mohammed Zawahiri, said, you know, we're rioting because of the video. I haven't seen it. I've only been told about it. But a good gesture on the part of the United States would be to release the blind sheikh. Now, Ayman Zawahiri is the right-hand man of Osama bin Laden, al-qaeda. Ayman Zawahiri, Mohammed Zawahiri are al-qaeda. Mohammed Zawahiri was released by Morsi, who also wanted the release of the blind sheikh. I believe that what you have seen across the entire Middle East was instigated by Morsi and by al-qaeda, and the attack and killing at the embassy was an attempt to demonstrate the power of al-qaeda and the humiliation of the United States. And this is what we can do to you if you don't listen to our demands. Now, Candy Crowley, in this whole debate thing, she stepped in to help Barack Obama because she's a liberal. I mean, it's a liberal, but he was caught lying. He was caught lying, but he has to lie because he cannot tell the truth.
Let me interrupt. When he said, look at the transcript, what was he referring to? Because he referred to terror in passing.
Acts of terror.
In passing, but he did not call that attack
when he was confronted by Romney, did you say act of terror? He said, proceed, Governor. He refused to answer. It was Candy Crowley who said, yes, he did say act of terror, but he never did. He said acts of terror after he talked about graveyards and 9/11.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, and while all this is happening to us, the American response, drag a filmmaker out of his house in the middle of the night to tell Islam that you are right in your blasphemy laws. That's right. Correct?
Absolutely.
Diane, go ahead, and then we'll go to Nonie.
Yeah, I think, and I was reading something today about how Obama and the left media, they're trying to confuse the conversation about this so that people just, they block it out of their minds. People, their attention span to the news is very short. And they like to muddy the waters with the discussion, and so that people just oh well, there's nothing to that, or I don't want to have to figure that out, and so they do it on purpose.
But ladies and gentlemen, the whole popular culture is doing this. Like the other night I watched, I grew up in the hip hop culture. I watched BET. I was watching this show the other night, the Wendy Williams show, I think it is. And it's repetitive that they're very proud and backing Obama, and they're saying, oh, look at this clip. And they show the clip of him saying, proceed, Senator, proceed, right? Proceed, Governor. And then they show him saying, say that louder, Candy Crowley, right? And then it stops there, and they all think, oh, that was a great move. He really got him. But there's no analysis of what really happened. There's no analysis in our culture.
Obama wants us also to dull us regarding terrorism. See, terrorism, when it starts, you get shocked. And then when it keeps repeating itself, it makes people accept it, and I think Obama is trying to contribute to us trying to find excuses for terrorism so we don't respond. The natural thing, the normal thing for Obama, when American people were traumatized to see their ambassador being dragged in the streets, dead and sodomized and assaulted in the streets like a villain, and this honorable man. And what happened is Obama
refers to it as a bump in the road.
Refers to it as a bump in the road. He's making us feel insensitive about something that a president is supposed to be outraged.
Yeah, he's desensitized.
And he's supposed to stand up and tell the American people, I'm here to comfort you. I will stand up to this act of savage terrorism. And he didn't do that. He wants us to accept it. Horrific.
Nonie, that's a great
terrorism.
And you know what? I remember Bush after 9/11. I mean, he was on the verge of tears. He was genuinely angry. There was even this frown on his face afterwards when he was talking. I bet after 9/11, if Obama was in power, he'd be saying that he'd be talking about a movie somewhere. Go ahead.
Listen,
Dwight, briefly.
Hillary Clinton too. She came out and said, "Oh, we have to accept this. We have to accept this sort of thing. The Arab Spring, democracy. This is not democracy. This is murder, humiliation, and war. Because that was our territory. that was attacked. And this president, as Nonie has just said, is desensitizing us to the reality that he has allowed to happen. Now, there's another issue here that has been totally lost. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dempsey, called Terry Jones. Remember the pastor who was threatening to burn? He called him because Terry Jones was connected to this video in the beginning. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs in the military called a civilian to tell him to stop. Who told Jones to do that? Who used the highest military person in the United States to call a civilian to do it? Dempsey should resign because he was misled. And that's something that has been going on with this president and this administration for too long.
Thank you, and exactly. And my earlier point, when I talk about the mainstream culture and especially the hip-hop community and all their channels and media and the way they're for Obama, I am shocked and disappointed that they are not discussing anything that we're discussing today. And so when they show that clip of him saying, "Say it louder, Candy," they say it as if it's a victory for Obama, and they don't get into these issues that it's an actual lie. We have 1 minute left, 20 seconds for each of you before we leave this first segment. Final thought on the most significant aspect of this whole ordeal. Diane?
Well, I just think it reveals how, like I said before, how sympathetic Obama is to Islamic Jihad, and how he has people in place in his administration that are pro Muslim Brotherhood. I just don't think he sees it that bad. I think he probably thinks as a leftist that we deserve it, or that we should just put up with it. And why doesn't he say, you Muslims, they believe in free speech, but for them only. They can say whatever they want about us, and maybe offend us to no end, tell us they're going to kill us.
Thank you.
And the president doesn't come back on that.
Absolutely. I think Diane has a great point also in the fact that even after 9/11, among the left, there was this breastbeating of mea culpa. We deserve this for oppressing the poor, the oppressed and the downtrodden. Right, Nonie?
I think that the media have proven itself to be not really a media. It's defending the Democrats, and really it's handicapping the Democrats. When you have a media that's not putting you, making you understand that you have to defend your issues properly. So they are not training them to defend their issues. And that's why Obama, in the debate, he couldn't explain his stuff. Why? Because the media is putting him in a bubble, defending him, and he's acting like a dictator that has no checks and balances. And really, they hurt him in the long run.
Thank you, Nonie. Final words of wisdom under 15 seconds to Dwight Schultz.
I think it exposes Obama as the ideologue that he is. He cannot respond in protection of the country. He only responds to and for his ideology, which is unfortunately not in support of the American Constitution, not in support of the United States, but his neo-Marxist socialist ideology.
Troubling times. Join us tomorrow evening for the second segment of the Glazov Gang, where we discuss whose pension is actually bigger, Obama's or Romney's. Join us then.